UDL principles and guidelines are not step-by-step directions. Instead, they serve as more of a framework or a philosophy that can guide educators in developing and executing a goal of making learning more accessible for all students, whether they have learning or physical disabilities, or simply like to learn with things visually. There are many different ways to include UDL principles into any lesson or any play-based center. This lesson will be demonstrated at circle time at first, and then used as a center and in completing a worksheet over a course of a whole lesson unit throughout a week. And it will be identifying shapes by physically seeing 3D representations and also seeing them on paper. This lesson will help the student identify 4 different shapes. Students will get 4 3D models that will be shown at first during circle time. So they'll get a square, some type of block or physical 3D representation of a square, a triangle as well, a rectangle, and a circle. And at circle time, the students will talk about each shape as well as pass them around, feel them, and get to know what the 3D representation of the shape is like. And we'll go over the name with the visual during circle time. The objective will be using this lesson and incorporating it into our play-based centers. And at one of our centers, we'll have a worksheet that we'll do every day, and it's a shape find. So basically, the students will use the skills that they learned at circle time and in play-based centers every day. And what the teacher does is she goes over this paper every single day to track the students' progress with this. So the students not only will have the 3D models to look at, but they'll have pictures of the different shapes also. And there will be shape cutouts put at every center during the day. There'll be circles, triangles, squares, and rectangles. And these will be put out at every single individual center. They'll be at library, they'll be at blocks, they'll be at dramatic play, so students can pick them up and look at them and identify the shapes, and the teacher can come around and ask the students while they're playing if they could identify the shapes. And you know, you could also extend this by even asking colors as well. So this will give the student a physical and a visual outline of the shapes. The teacher will also provide a fun lesson every day to keep the students engaged by being repetitive, but still being able to teach them while using a physical worksheet every day to kind of assess the students. And in order to assess the students, the teacher will go over the worksheet at a center. They'll pull them over on a table and go over the worksheet with them, ask them questions about the shapes, if they know what they are, how many sides they have, and keep track of how many shapes each student is reaching and compare it to the following day. So another way to see how the students are grasping the lesson is that the teacher can ask questions and call on the students throughout the class. Have them come up to the board during the next day's circle time, choose their answer, choose a shape, identify it, and this allows the students to stay involved and to help them if they're not good at something like written work, with which a lot of students with disabilities may not be able to just sit down and do a written worksheet like this on the first day and identify the shapes. So the students that are struggling with the disabilities will be provided with so many different elements, the elements of touch, the elements of having visuals at every center, as well as being assessed. This will be reinforced visually, feeling, like I said, coloring, writing. This will all be reinforced to promote those UDL principles of not just having step-by-step instructions, but by promoting it through all of the lessons. This activity is done both as a large group and at play-based centers. And the cutouts at the play-based centers will help a child with a learning disability to have that visual element at every center. So basically, the teacher opens the lesson. The first thing the students will need to learn before the lesson is the name of these 4 basic shapes, so they're able to match them to a specific shape. And then throughout the lesson, throughout the week, the students will get to see what the 4 shapes actually look like by using the models and the worksheets. And the closing will be that the students will successfully be able to know the name of the models and what they look like to help identify these common shapes that should be known in a preschool unit. But the basic theme here is to promote those UDL guidelines and spread it out so that individuals with disabilities, as well as individuals who may just not do as well with written work or visual, they'll have all different ways of using their senses to learn about the shapes. Thank you so much.